You see the size of a product, right? The dimensions, the scale, they are actually just an excuse to make the product feel more premium so that they can mark up the price, increase the profit margins, and make consumers feel like they're buying something premium. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven, and today I have a topic regarding anime figures which I would love to discuss with you guys. This is a very recent trend. It has started only in the past few months or so, and some people out there, figure collectors, they are quite dumbfounded. Like, is this even possible? What are the catches? What are the traps right here, right? And yep, we are talking about impossibly cheap anime scale figures. Let me repeat. Scale figures, not price figures, mainly coming from Chinese brand. And when I say impossibly cheap, for the sake of comparison, we take a look at Free Ink's 1x4 scale bunny figures, B style. They usually start at 38,500 yen. This is the starting price point for new anime figures, right? New ones, not re-releases. Re-releases like, you know, those barely stocking versions which were released in the past with stockings. Yeah, those are cheaper because they already made the mold. So for new figures, first time releases, they start at about 38,500 yen, like this figure of Junko Enoshima over here. And then this one Jibril 44k, and then this FGO figure almost 50k, and they top out at 55,000 yen unless you get a huge diorama, a huge effect base like Rengoku, for example. That is going to cost 70k or higher, right? But the normal average for high quality 1x4 scale by Free Ink is 38,000 to 55,000 yen. And then if you're looking for something big yet affordable to a certain extent, we have Pop-Up Rate XL, and there are not many scale figures in this product lineup yet. XL figures, they are very close to 1x4 scale, like this figure of Lucy over here from Fairy Tail. They average about 25,000 yen or so, including taxes. And this one, this Urza as well. And there are quite a number of other figures that fall under Pop-Up Rate XL series. Normally what a good smile does is that they take an existing mold and then they just increase the size, they just upsize it and make a huge figure out of it. But they still cost 25,000 yen, and 25,000 yen is the amount you pay for a high quality 1x7 scale, more or less, right? So it is still not cheap. However, in a recent week, we were being surprised by this new 1x4 scale figure over here by Bear Panda, which is a Chinese brand. This figure of Konata bunny version from the story of a manga artist who was imprisoned by a strange high school girl. This is a 1x4 scale going for just 10,000 yen. 9,900 yen, more or less 10,000 yen. And the first question we're asking over here, what is going on? Is this really a 1x4 scale? I mean, this is far from the best looking 1x4 scale figure out there, not the most detailed one as well. Of course, we can still compare her when the figure actually comes out, compare it to Pop-Up Rate XL, for example. Maybe Free Ink 1x4 is setting the bar a bit too high. But still, the question here is, how did they manage to get the price down to only 10,000 yen? Because this is using real fabric stocking as well. They did not just paint grey color paint over her legs. So this is real fabric right here. Of course, I don't expect it to be as good as Free Ink's 1x4 scale and many other third-party resin figures, but still, this is only 10,000 yen. How is this even possible? And this is not the only example, this is just the most recent example. For example, Animaster. They have these 1x6 scale figures over here which officially retail for about 8,000 yen or so, plus minus, but they can be had for discount for way lesser. Like this figure of Cynthia over here, 1x6 scale, 6,640 yen. Yes, I know. Once again, not the most detailed figure out there, but looks plenty competent, pretty well made, right? These photos, at least they make her look good. And then there is this disciplinary committee member, 7,300 yen by Animaster as well, 1x6 scale. And then we have this Vice City female sheriff 1x6 scale at 6,600 yen or so as well. Once again, we take a quick look at the pictures. Do not expect any high detail any gradient or shading in the paintwork, but that is completely fine at this price point. We can't expect shading even in a pop-up grade that costs 25,000 yen either. So the main question here is that how did they manage to get the price down to this point? Animaster is not a low-cost, low-budget figure brand, by the way. They actually have figures that cost as high as 75,000 yen. Like this one over here, this Omnyoji Shiranui figure 1x5 scale by Animaster. This is an eye-watering 75,000 yen, including taxes, right? So they actually make very high quality, very high-end scale figures out there. This figure is rather exceptional for those who can afford it. And then here is another example from Azerlane. This one is going for 1,400 Chinese yuan, which is still like 25 to 30,000 yen or so. So Animaster also makes high-end, high-quality scale figures. Somehow they are able to get this 1x6 scale down to 6,600 yen. How did they even make a profit? So the first point you guys need to understand is that it is extremely low cost to manufacture these figures, right? The materials, the power bills, they are not as high as you think, the cost per unit, regardless of what Japanese brands tell you, like how the material cost has been going up because of the pandemic and so on, right? Shortages and so on. The cost, especially on the material part, is not that high, and the proof is that price figures are the proof of it. You see, I think it was Furio who has this series of 1x6 scale Barney figures. They are price figures, they are very well made, and they cost like 2,500, 3,000 yen or so. Let me bring up a few examples over here. This series of huge but low cost price figures, they are called By Cute Barney series. This one right here. And as you can see, there are not too many figures under this product line yet. All we can see over here are Hatsune Miku figures. We have Sonico, we have Ram, and that is about it at the moment. This one right here, I think this one. This figure of Miku was one of the very first figures under this product line. 1x6 scale, this one right here is 31 centimeters tall. 1x6 scale. And she is price figure cost. You can get one for maybe 2,500 to 3,000 yen or so. And the very fact that they could get the figure so low in price despite being so huge in dimensions show you that cost and size, they don't really have a proportional relation over there, right? Just because the figure is larger, it does not necessarily mean the materials is going to cost a lot more. This Miku here is another example, huge but also very affordable. This one is 30 centimeters tall as well, and also under the By Cute series. And another one I could think of, this Sonico over here. This one is about 27 or 28 centimeters, still huge, still 1x6 scale, and also price figure pricing. These figures are by Furio. You see the size of a product, right? The dimensions, the scale, they are actually just an excuse to make the product feel more premium so that they can mark up the price, increase the profit margins, and make consumers feel like they're buying something premium when it actually is not quite the case, right? The best example I can think of is cars. The car you drive to work, for example, right? I'm going to build this compact low-cost car for 20,000 US dollars, sell it to you, and then for those who have a higher budget, I'm going to build a slightly bigger car. I use the same parts in some places. I use the same engine, the same gearbox underneath because most consumers don't care. The production cost is maybe 1,000 US dollars higher, but I can sell it for 30,000 US dollars, which is 50% more than a smaller product. You get the points over here. So you see, I just need to upscale my product a bit. The manufacturing cost will increase by 10 to 20%, but I can mark it up by 50 to 100% for each larger product. And the same is actually happening to scale figures, you see. 3-in 1x4 scales, they are not that expensive to manufacture. They are not that difficult to make, not that high cost, but you're paying a fortune for it. And that is the reality we're dealing with. If you don't believe me, let me show you guys a bootleg 1x4 scale figure over here. Now this is a bootleg 1x4 scale figure of Shiro from No Game No Life, and do you have any idea how much I paid for this 1x4 scale right here? Exactly 20 US dollars. Yeah, I imported it directly from China. This is only 20 US dollars, the same cost as a price figure. Meanwhile, the genuine figure by Free Ink is going for 22,000 yen, which is almost 1000% higher than this bootleg version over here. Of course, with a genuine figure, the quality overall is going to be so much better, and there is also licensing cost. And I'm not recommending you or encouraging you to buy bootlegs, because by buying genuine figures, you are supporting the anime and the game industry. My point I'm trying to make over here is that the amount of materials used to manufacture a 1x4 scale genuine figure and a 1x4 scale bootleg figure is very similar, yet the cost is so huge in terms of the difference over here. And both are made in China. The genuine one is also made in China. So you'll see the material cost overall is not as high as you think. The second possible reason why a low cost scale figure like this one is possible is because of lower cost materials. They are not using PVC and ABS, which is normally used in higher end scale figures. They're using something way cheaper, and what material that exactly is up for speculation. What people were telling me is that they are just using plastic. But this word, just using plastic, is very generalized. It is not specific enough, because plastic is a very huge variety of materials. Like, yeah, plastic is cheap, but what plastic exactly? And I haven't gotten the answer to this question yet. It is possible they have discovered a material way lower cost than PVC and ABS. ABS is not cheap, by the way, not at all. And also, these figures are not going to have metal reinforcements, right? So you can expect these lower cost figures to be not as resistant towards climate, weather and heat. They are probably going to be more likely to lean over time if you display them in a very hot room, for example. That is one thing to consider. However, it is always a good thing to have more choices for consumers. Those who cannot afford expensive figures, yeah, they can go for these lower cost ones and still be happy about their collection. The third possible reason for these low cost figures is that the licensing cost is probably very low. If you have noticed, right, every single low cost figures from China nowadays, they are more than often original characters. Yeah. You see this wine waiter girl, or this disciplinary committee member, or this female sheriff, or even earlier that bunny figure at 1x4 scales. If there is one common thing among all these four figures, is that all of them are original characters. They just have to license it from the artist. And more than likely, the licensing cost is relatively low compared to famous game titles FGO, Azalin, and so on. And also very popular anime by Aniplex, by Kadokawa, by MAPPA, and so on. For example, if you look at Figma Nendoroid of Marvel DC comic characters, they are a lot more expensive than Nendoroids of Japanese anime characters, because licensing cost is a lot higher, even though the material cost is the same. The fourth possible reason is as simple as lower profit margins. In general, Chinese companies, Chinese businesses, they don't go for very high margins. Apple, it costs them $350 or so to make an iPhone. They sell it to you for $1,000 to $1,500 or so. That is a huge margin over there. Chinese companies, they don't really do that, which is why in general, Chinese branded smartphones, yeah, they are relatively high spec, yet they are not as expensive as Samsung or Apple phones. That is a very obvious example, and I believe we are looking at a very similar logic, a similar story going on with anime scale figures over here. This is something unprecedented in a world of rising prices and inflation. We are living in an interesting time as anime figure collectors, so I would love to hear your 2 cents on this matter. Until then, if you enjoyed this video so far, please do give this video a thumbs up, a like, and consider subscribing to this channel for more anime figure related content. Until then, I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.